Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to make an advanced Funimate edit using keyframes. Now this is a heavily requested tutorial on both Funimate's Instagram, YouTube and TikTok accounts, as well as my social medias, which is mainly my YouTube. So I'm going to be teaching you how to make that. Now just heading straight into the Funimate app and starting a new project, I thought it would be suiting to import my most recent edit so we can try to replicate some of the transitions I've made in this edit. Now let's just have a look at some of these transitions. So this shake here, I think I really want to teach you guys, considering it did take me a while to actually learn. Now let's just import a new image. So let's just import one of Emma Chamberlain and let's make some space and then import another one on top. Actually, so no, the first thing we're going to do is import a group image. So we're going to make a group and we're going to import an image in groups. So I've got this image of Emma Chamberlain. Now to make this shake, we're gonna need to use groups. So just head over to the animate section, mirror, and then use this option, motion blur, and turn on motion blur. Motion blur is a very important thing to have on. Now the next thing we're going to do is scale. We're going to go to 200 and make it zoom out. Just like this. And we're going to make sure we use this effect and add 2 diamond keyframes like I just demonstrated. So 200 to 100, and we're going to use this keyframe. Pretty simple. So it should look like this. Now to give the shake effect, we're going to head to the position and we're going to hit the plus button and then tap this twice. So 1, 2, and then we're going to go back to the first one and we're going to move this over to around this part of the screen. So just basically copy where I've placed the keyframe. And then the second one is going to go here. And now we're going to make kind of like a square shaped formation using keyframes. So we're going to go 2 again. And we're going to go down. And each time we move it, we're going to make the gap that's in between here a little bit less, if that makes sense. So the gap between the 2 keyframes is going to lessen like this. See how it's slowly lessening and becoming smaller gaps. And you want to just keep doing it and going in a triangle formation. So tap it twice, move a little bit. And it's okay if it doesn't look perfect, you can go back and fix the keyframe. So let's have a look. So that's the shake we've gotten as a result. As you can see, it's a very shaky looking shake. And we're just going to hit done. And now that we have this in a group, we can add additional features. Now the next thing that we're going to be adding is we're going to make this shake a little bit. So I'll show you what I mean. So first of all, we want to make sure the mirror effect is on, motion blur is on, and then we're going to head to the rotation feature, which is inside the groups over here. So we're going to hit rotate and we're going to add a keyframe and put it on -1. Then we're going to tap this 3 times and then we're going to make this 1. And then once again. And you just want to keep moving it 3 until it looks just as you want it. So what this does is it makes the video have more motion and it makes the edit look more advanced. So in my most recent edit, which you can check out on my account, which is @edit on Funimate for reference, I've used this technique and I've gotten a lot of comments saying, how did you make the video shake? Or how did you make those shakes? This is how I have done it. So basically I just make the video have more motion in general. So it looks like this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is head back into the group add, and we're going to go to the light section. In here we can add exposure, and it will make the transition just look smoother in general. So usually I like to put it on around 20, and then at the end of the shake I make sure this ends just like so. The next thing we're going to do is add blur, and I'm going to put it on around 10, and it just makes the transition look smoother in general. Now we can also add other things like blinds, perspective, skew, stylize, which is a good one. I usually add sharpening, and depending on the image, I will choose how much I want to sharpen it. I think this one we will sharpen 20. I think that's good. And I also like to add the vignette, so just add the plus, and I like to put it on around 20 and then make it reduce to 0, so it gives a more dramatic effect. So this is what we have created. Now the next transition I'm going to show you is the stretch transition. So adding onto this shake, I'm just going to click add, and I'm going to go all the way down to the warp effect. Then I'm going to hit the plus button, and at the end of the shake I'm going to add my second keyframe, just like so. Then we're going to go to type, and we're going to go to the third type over here. Then we're going to go over here, and we're going to make this zoom to 100. We're going to go to here, tap this, and then we're going to go back to transform, and then we're going to zoom this way. Sorry, not zoom, move this way, just like that. Okay, so as you can see, we have this now stretch effect, and the next thing we're going to do is import our second clip. And a very good tip, whenever you make advanced edits, always put them in groups. So we're going to add a group, we're going to go to here, and the next thing we're going to do is import another Emma Chamberlain picture, zoom in, mirror, add this motion blur. This is something I always do, it's routinal, so I always put these on. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the warp effect inside the group, and we're going to make the type this again. We're going to make the bend 100, and then we're going to make it go down to 0, just like that. So actually, for the second part of the transition, we want to make the bend half the length of the position. Does that make sense? Okay, let me show you. So we're going to go and make the warp as long as you think you would make the position, so how much I'm going to move it up or down, right? So this is how much I think I'd move the position of the clip itself. Then we're going to go halfway on the warp effect, click the plus for a keyframe, remove this, and put that at 0, just like this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go outside of the group. We're going to add the mirror effect, motion blur and mirror, like usual, as I just said. And then we're going to do this with position. Okay, so this needs to go the other way, my bad. So it actually looks really smooth. Hold up. Okay, so you can adjust this if it's too long or too short. As you can see, we just got this nice looking stretch. And I'm also going to add a shake to this transition because I'm still not satisfied So as you can see, because I've put this in a group, I can actually hit edit and I can add position keyframes on it again. So I've got 2 sets of position keyframes. So I'm just going to repeat what I did before. And we're going to get a cool looking shake. So the shakes are much easier than you think once you do get the hang of it. And people tend to get really confused how I do them. It's really not that difficult once you get the hang of it. So let's have a look. Actually, I think I'm gonna remove the shake just for this one. Okay. Now let's have a look. But we can always add other things to enhance the transition. So let's see. So I've added like a bit of the quake effect. There are new shake effects, I just haven't updated my app, but you can add them and they're really cool. So make sure you go update your Funimate app. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is adding exposure to this. Just like that. And actually I'm going to get rid of the quake. Okay. Now, what should we do next? I think we should work with some perspective, because perspective is always a fun effect to add. Let's add another Emma Chamberlain picture in this group. And we're just going to make a perspective flip. So the best way to make one just pop out of nowhere, which is what I'm doing now, is make it on 90 degrees so it doesn't pop out of nowhere. So 90 degrees so there's nothing showing. And then we're going to flip it twice. Like this. Okay. Now let's have a look. So I've just added perspective on this. So I've gone negative 19 degrees to negative 180 minus 1 times, if that makes sense. I still think it's going a bit too quick. So I'm just going to do this. And then we can always go rotate. Rotate 45. Motion blur. And using position, I'm going to make this shake. Like this. So honestly, I think you should just follow my keyframes if you're trying to get this transition. You can slow the video down, because this is one of those more complex ones. Now I'm just going to add exposure as well and blur. Just like this. And then I'm going to make the picture in the background dim down. So let's just go to color, lightness. And now let's have a look at what we've created. So also we're going to do that rotate trick as I mentioned before. Always make sure you add this to every single layer. So I promise this is very effective. Okay. Almost finished. Okay, so let's have a look at the finished product. So as you can see, this actually looks really good. Okay. So after this, I'm going to add... Okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to make a blinds transition. So we're going to go into group again. We're going to import another image of Emma Chamberlain. Let's do this one. And we're going to go to mirror, motion blur. Remember, we always do this. Then we're going to head into rotation. And we're going to make it -45 degrees because this is a rotation. And we're going to make it a bit longer actually, like this. Okay, so let's see how that fits for now. So I still think that's a bit slow. Yeah, that is a bit slow. Okay. So let's speed that up. Okay. Now, let's add blinds to this effect. And also, I think we're going to be adding a shake because a shake is needed here. So the next thing we're going to do is go to blinds, width, progress, direction. So I'm going to go like... Okay, so we're going to start at 0, and then we're going to go to 100. Sorry, so we're going to go from 0. So we're going to go from 0 over here, and then we're going to go to 100 over here. And we're going to go width. Sorry, not width. We're going to go direction. And we're going to make the degrees dramatically different so the transition is fast. Okay, sorry about that. I got a bit carried away. So behind the blinds, we obviously need another image. We're going to make it this one. Wow, okay, that looks good. Now, the next thing we're going to do is right before the blinds begin, we're going to add some color. So let's head to the color effect. And we're going to go all the way up to 70. And as you can see, we get this really cool hue effect. That actually looks really cool. Okay. Then we're going to add whirl to the blinds themselves. So we're going to make the bend 5 down to 0. And then we're going to add this, V division 10, and then 0 here. Sorry, no, this needs to be 10, and this needs to be 0. Well, 1. Okay. As you can see, we now have these cool looking blinds. I think that's a bit too much bend, honestly. And let's change this to that. Okay. Now, this is only the basics that we have. So we're going to go back here and remember that this is in a group so we can modify it further. So we're just going to go here. We're going to add light, exposure. I add exposure to all of my transitions, by the way. I just thought I'd let you know. So before the blinds, we're going to make sure it goes to 0. And then at the blinds, we're going to do exposure again. Like that. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is make sure this has motion blur and mirror on. As per usual, this is kind of given. We always make sure that's on. Then we're going to make a shake. It even rhymes. Okay. So let's just repeat what we did before. If you do not remember, literally just go back in the video and you should be able to see. Okay, now let's center this. So this is what we've gotten. Now it's a bit laggy, but I can assure you that this is smooth. So this is what we have so far. Okay. I think we're going to add some blur effect. I always add blur as well. It just makes the edit look smoother in general. And we're going to do it here as well. Even if it's a little bit, like 2. I'm going to make it 5. And we have this really smooth looking transition, and I'm honestly really happy with how this turned out. So I think that's all the advanced transitions I'm going to show you today. If you want to see more, literally just tell me down below and I'll do a part 2 for you guys. If this gets enough popularity and there's enough demand, I will make another part for you guys and show you how to make more advanced transitions, and maybe in the next video I can show you how to make 3D transitions using the 3D effects and make them look cool and smooth. By the way, behind this perspective flip, I just thought I'd add I think it'd be a good idea to add an overlay. So maybe add an overlay behind it. Anyways, besides the point, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you want next time, and I'll be sure to look at everything you guys want me to make, and I'll be sure to make them, hopefully, if there's enough demand. Okay, thank you so much for watching.